For the Regatta project, download the Regatta print zip file from the Against the Clock website and save it to the folder with your name on it. As with the previous project, you can double-click that Regatta zip folder, and this will uncompress the Regatta folder, and we're going to add our name to the end of that folder. And inside of this folder, you'll find a poster Illustrator file and a sketch that we're going to start off by redrawing using the Adobe Illustrator tools. So let's jump into Adobe Illustrator and define our workspace. We'll go to File, down to New. Again, we're going to choose Print and choose a letter-sized document. Now for this document, we're going to call this Sailboat. And again, I'm going to add my name to it. The units will change over to inches. We'll keep the orientation set to portrait and just one artboard. Again, no bleeds for this document. We'll say Create. And let's fit our artboard to view. So we'll go to View, Fit Artboard to Window. And if you need to, you can clean up your workspace by going to Window, down to Workspace, and since I'm working with Essentials Classic, I'm going to reset the Essentials Classic to put away any open palettes and put all of our tools back into order. Let's put that into 2-column order. Now let's place the image of the sailboat onto our document. Go to File, down to Place. We need to locate the Regatta folder, so I'm going to go back to my Ben Ivy artwork folder. Here's the Regatta folder. Select the Sketch JPEG and make sure Link and Template is checked on. We'll say Place. Just like with the previous project, if we look at our Layers panel, got the layers open here, you can see there's a template layer located just below the layer 1 that we're going to be working on. Now we want to be able to change up some of the options for this layer. So double-click on the template for the sailboat to bring up the options. If you accidentally click on the name like I did, simply click on the open area off to the side and that'll bring up these options. What we don't want to do is to dim this object. So we uncheck Dim Image, say OK, and you can see it's still a template layer, but it's at 100%. We do want to rename layer 1. So let's double-click layer 1. We'll call this Boat Drawing. And since this is unlocked, all of the drawing that we do will be done in this top layer so that we can see the template down below. We can click away to deselect it. And finally, let's go up and save our document by going to File, Save As. Again, make sure your name is at the end of the file document, and we're saving it to the Regatta folder that has your name on it. This will be an Adobe Illustrator file, so we'll say Save and choose OK to the preferences. When working with the pen tool, you can find the pen tool at the top of the toolbox, and it looks like an old-fashioned writing pen. Do be aware that there are some other kind of tools that look like the pen tool, like the curvature tool, or if you click and hold on the pen tool, nested below it is the Add and Delete Anchor Point tool. We just want to make sure we've got the regular pen tool selected to work through this portion of the project. I'm going to hit Command and the plus sign to zoom in, and the closer you can get to it, the easier it is to add your anchor points exactly where you want them to go. Now for this part, we don't want to overcomplicate it, but the book is going to show you some interesting things you can do to control the vector and the line points that you create. Here's how we're going to do this in 4 vector points. Start off using your pen tool by using just one click at the top right-hand corner. Next, click and drag to bring out your Bezier handles, and keep your mouse held down until you can get the curve to match the right edge of your boat. I'm just looking at that curve and getting it as close as possible. When you let go, notice that it will follow the curve, and also you get a little bit of a preview of where your next line will go based on this Bezier curve. I'm not holding down my mouse. All I'm going to do next is to bring it over here, and then I'm going to click and drag up and to the right and try to match that curve as best as possible. You won't get it 100%. Later on, I'll show you how we can come back and clean it up. Now, if I try to click the top corner, notice that the curve is going to be going the wrong way. This is because the Bezier handle is going off to this right-hand side. So to get rid of this Bezier handle and to pretend like there's no curve on this side at all, we're going to click on the point one more time. That removes this anchor point. Now I can click up here and drag up and to the right until that curvature matches that point on the line. The final thing I want to do is to go all the way back over here, and it's going to look like it's incorrect, and click back to our starting point. Notice that there's a little circle next to my icon letting me know that it will complete off that path. With that done, we can now go back and change up and clean up any Bezier curves that may have gone astray or that are off by just a little bit. To do this, we're going to use our Direct Selection tool. This is the white arrow tool that allows us to click on individual vector points and also Bezier lines. Let's clean up this top area. I can click on this right topmost anchor point, hold down the Option key, and when I click on the top of the Bezier handle, this allows me to move and change just that Bezier curve and that line. And I can bring it down very far and to the left until that curve finally matches this one. And we can do the same thing for the bottom left-hand corner. Click on this point and drag it in. Notice that if you don't hold down the Option key, it's going to move not just the one handle, but both of the handles. So holding down the Option key will allow you to adjust just one of them without necessarily messing up the curve of the other. Let's try that again. Click and hold, and then bring that in. That's it. That's all that we had to do. From here, we should go up and save. And now we can continue on. With that out of the way, let me show you an even easier way to draw curved lines using your pen tool. I'm going to scroll up so I can see the entire sail on the right-hand side. Choose my pen tool again. Again, we want to make sure that the fill is set to none and the stroke is set to black. And this sail is essentially a triangle, so I'm going to make 3 points. A point at the top, point on the left bottom, point on the right. Let's bring one back up to the original point. To curve an edge, I still have my pen tool, hold down the Option key, and click on the line. Whenever you click on the path, you can see the icon or your cursor will change, and this will allow you to click and drag and reshape the curve that you have until it fits the desired curve that you need. Let's do the same thing for this one. Holding down Option, click where the line intersects and curve that. And finally the bottom one, holding down Option, click and drag until it fits there. If your curve is off by just a little bit, that's totally fine. This is meant to be artwork, and get it as close as possible as you can do for yourself. Let's do the same thing for the rightmost sail. Again, give yourself 3 points, top, bottom, left, and right. Hold down the Option key, click and drag until you match the curve of the line. There we go. Then we can zoom out and see what we're working with. Now let's use the pen tool to draw each of the ribs inside of the right of the sail. With the pen tool selected, I'm going to click outside of the sail area. Here's what I mean. Instead of starting on the exact edge of the sail or inside, make sure you're starting well beyond. Click once, go well beyond the outside edge, click again, hold down Option, and then drag it to match the curve. To deselect it, if I was to click up here again, it would continue connecting to that line. So we want to hold down Command, click away, and then we can jump back to our pen tool and do the next one. So click, click, hold down Option, drag it into place, hold down Command and click again to deselect it, click, click, Option, hold down Command to deselect it, 2 clicks, Option, hold down Command to deselect it, and then finally 2 clicks again, and then click and drag from there. So your sail should look like this once you've finished it up. This is a good point to go up to File and Save and continue on to the next exercise. Now let's fill in each area of our sailboat. There's a great tool called the Shape Builder tool. You can find this tool towards the center of your toolbox, and if you don't see it, it could be nested under the Live Paint or Live Paint selection tools. With the Shape Builder tool, we'll also select the default fill and stroke swatches at the bottom of our swatch panel. Then hold down the Command key to click and drag over everything that's on the right side. So we want the whole sail and also the lines underneath it. When this happens, you'll notice as you hover over, it should highlight each of the individual areas. You can then click inside of these areas and fill it in with the white fill and black stroke. Additionally, if we zoom in, if you hold down the Option key, your cursor will change from having a plus to a minus next to it. This means whenever you hold down the Option key and click and drag, you can erase away any areas that you overlap. Let's do the same thing for all of the extra bits of the line. Holding down Option, click and drag, and get rid of those extra lines that went beyond what was needed. We'll zoom back out. So far, looking pretty good. The last thing we'll do to this sail is to add a little bit of billows to the right-hand side. I'm going to use the Direct Selection tool, the white arrow, click to deselect it, then carefully click on the right-hand side and drag it out. Whenever we filled something in using the Shape Builder tool, it turned it into its own individual shape. So notice now it's easy to edit all of those as separate individual pieces. The book's going to ask you to repeat this process for the left and the bottom of the boat. So let's grab the Shape Builder tool again. Remember, we need to select it in order to fill it in. So hold down the Command key, click and drag to select the object. We've got white as our fill color, so we can click and fill that in. And let's fill in the bottom of the boat with black. Hold down the Command key, select the bottom area. This time, let's change our fill color to be black. So I'm going to swap out that, and I'm going to set my stroke color to be none. With this selected, one click, we can fill in the bottom of the boat with solid black. This is a good stopping point, so we'll go to File and Save, and continue on to the next part of the exercise. The last part will be the mast and the little ropes that are hanging off of it. Let's set our fill color to be a medium brown and our stroke color to be none. Every time we've created an object, it's created a new sublayer that's on top of whatever is below it. But sometimes we want to create objects that are behind anything we've created. So to do this, first let's choose our rectangle tool. And if you look at the very bottom of your tool panel, especially if you're in two-column mode, you've got these three different icons. By default, we've been working in Draw Normal mode. But the second option is to draw behind. With this second option selected, when you click and drag to create the mast, notice that it's behind the area that we had selected. Oops, it looks like I accidentally changed it back to black. Let's set that to be brown the way it should be. Let's do the same thing for the other mast going horizontal. Click and drag, and this will set it behind the objects that we have. Now we can add the ropes. I'm going to use the pencil tool to do this. Pencil tool is located under the shaper tool. We're going to set our fill color to none, set our stroke color to be orange, and then I'm simply going to click and drag and draw over those chords. I should have set the stroke to be 2-point wide as well, so let's go ahead and do that now. We'll add each of the lines to here. Again, if yours are off by just a little bit, totally fine. We can always go back and make adjustments or just undo and step back from there. This is another good point. We can go to Save, so let's go to File and Save. And this is going to end stage 1.